Hello, everyone. You're listening to Psychology Outside the Box. The internet is full of psychology wannabes and posers who are trying to replace me. Well, it's payback time. My name is Dr. Flower. I have a PhD in psychology, so I'm not a wannabe or a knockoff. I've been teaching college and university courses for 20 years. Psychology is a vast field that connects to many things in your life. If you have a curious mind, you're definitely in the right place. This podcast will be interesting and informative, fun but factual. I want you to learn but also enjoy the experience. Some topics will be mainstream, but others will be outside the box, far beyond the ordinary. There will be lots of surprises. I will open your mind to new ideas and new ways of thinking. So sit back and enjoy the ride. Today I'm going to talk about being bilingual, or learning a second language. Me siento muy excited about this topic. This phrase, me siento muy excited, was made famous by American singer Selena Quintanilla when she couldn't quite figure out how to say I feel very excited. During a visit to Mexico, she instead spoke Spanglish, which is a mixture of Spanish and English. Though she had sung in Spanish most of her life, she only learned the lyrics phonetically. Her father coached her on her pronunciation. Sadly, this much-loved Latin singer was killed by the president of her fan club at age 23. As for me, I was born in a galaxy far, far away. I wish, but actually it was Italy. My family moved to North America when I was 5 years old. My name is FIORE, or FIORE, which means flower in Italian, but I am a male. I have no accent but speak some Italian, such as io sono affumato. This means feed me, I'm hungry. I can say this phrase in 15 different languages. So for me, being bilingual is a survival skill. Spring is the perfect time to fall in love or to fall in love again with your significant other. Paris in springtime is wonderful and one of the best places for romance. But maybe you don't have the time or money for a trip to Paris. So here's another way to spark the romance by learning one of the languages of love. Here are a few important phrases in Italian. Hello or goodbye, beautiful. Ciao bello if speaking to a man. Ciao bella if speaking to a woman. Ciao can mean hello or goodbye in Italian, much like aloha in Hawaiian, salam in Arabic, shalom in Hebrew, and annyeong in Korean. I love you with all my heart. Ti amo con tutto il mio cuore. Give me a kiss. Baciami, or dammi un bacio. Darling or dear. If speaking to a man, it's carissimo. If speaking to a woman, carissima. My love, amore mio. You are the love of my life. Sei il grande amore della mia vita. I can't live without you. Non posso vivere senza di te. I'm crazy about you. Sono pazzo di te, if said by a man. Sono pazza di te, if said by a woman. These are all very powerful phrases, and even more so when said in Italian, which is the language of amore. French and Spanish, to be fair, are also very romantic and may be considered languages of love. But also remember that with great power comes great responsibility. So you must promise to use your new language skills for good and not for evil. And always keep your words soft and sweet in case you ever have to eat them. So getting back to Romance languages, the main ones are Spanish, French, Portuguese, Italian, and Romanian. But there are also many, many others that can be added to this list. Spanish, French, and Portuguese spread to parts of North and South America during the period of colonialism hundreds of years ago, when European nations sailed across the Atlantic Ocean and invaded other countries. For example, Spanish did not become the main language in Mexico and South America because it's pretty. It arrived with the conquistadors from Spain and stuck around. All the Romance languages share some vocabulary. That is because they were all derived from the Romans, who spoke Latin and spread it throughout Europe as they invaded and conquered other countries. Rome reached the height of its territory in AD 117. From its base in modern-day Italy, the empire stretched all the way to Britain in the far north, covered modern-day Spain in the west, claimed a long strip of North Africa from Morocco to Egypt to the south, and extended as far as Turkey to the east. The Roman navy controlled the Mediterranean. So Romance actually refers to the Roman influence on these languages. But it is also true that these languages are sometimes considered musical and sweet, and there are also some connections to love and romance. Starting in about 1200 AD, traveling minstrels or singers called troubadours began composing and singing love ballads that became very popular and spread through France, Italy, and Spain. Troubadours sang songs of great battles and songs of love and beautiful ladies. The heroes always won in these songs, and the bad guys always got their just punishment. Multilingualism isn't unusual. In fact, it's the norm for most of the world's societies. Around the world, more than half of people, estimates actually vary from about 60% to 75%, speak at least 2 languages. Many countries have more than one official language. People are increasingly expected to speak, read, and write at least one of a handful of super languages, such as English, Chinese, Hindi, Spanish, or Arabic. There are several advantages to speaking multiple languages. For one, you can talk to yourself in either language if you are alone. Personally, I talk to myself all the time. It's the only way I can win an argument. Learning another language is not only learning different words for the same things, but also learning another way to think about the world. Change your language and you change your thought. A steady stream of studies over the past decade has shown that bilinguals outperform single language persons in a range of mental abilities. Research also suggests that bilingualism may have health benefits. Knowing more than one language can actually delay Alzheimer's and other types of dementia by several years on average. Another cool thing about people who speak multiple languages is that they have multiple personalities. But don't let this scare you. It doesn't mean that they have to visit a psychiatrist. There's an old proverb that states, someone who speaks only one language is one person, but someone who speaks 2 languages is 2 people. People who are fluent in more than one language often describe feeling like different people in each of them. So bilinguals may unconsciously switch personalities depending on the language they are using. Perhaps you are more serious in English, more outgoing in Spanish, and funnier in French. So yes, our personalities can shift depending on the language we are speaking. Polyglots are incredible people who can speak several different languages, usually between 3 and 5. If we ignore some nuances, polyglot has a very similar meaning to being multilingual. There have been many polyglots throughout history, including modern-day actors and actresses such as Natalie Portman, Penelope Cruz, Mila Kunis, Bradley Cooper, and Viggo Mortensen. The ability to speak several languages is a remarkable thing, but even more important in life is the ability to keep our mouths shut. Do not speak when angry. Do not speak only to criticize. Do not speak to spread gossip or rumors. Always speak to say something nice. You're great. Way to go. Thumbs up. You rock. One kind word can change someone's entire day. As Dirty Harry famously said in the movie Sudden Impact, go ahead, make my day, say something nice. Today was an exciting day for me. My wife called me pretty. Okay, what she actually said was that I was pretty annoying. But I am an optimist and I like to focus on the positive. Meet Bella Devyakina, a 12-year-old from Russia who speaks, writes, and reads in 8 languages: Russian, Arabic, German, French, Spanish, Italian, Mandarin, Chinese, and English. Her dream is to learn Japanese next. For Bella to speak in so many languages at a young age is remarkable. Bella's mom, Yulia, doesn't think her daughter is a genius. Her mother says the key was making sure that language learning was always a fun experience. Every new language makes Bella happy. Since birth, Yulia spoke to Bella in 2 languages, Russian, her native tongue, and English. Later on, Yulia added French, and after 2 months, discovered her daughter picked it up quickly. Spotting this natural talent, that was when Bella's parents hired a language tutor. At 2.5 years, a new language from a totally different background was chosen, Mandarin Chinese. By age 3, after just 6 months of learning Mandarin, Bella was interacting in this language like a native Chinese-speaking kid of her age. Yulia conducted her own research on multilingualism and came to the conclusion that the earlier a language is introduced to a learning child, the better. At 3 years, it was Spanish, a few months later German, and after another 2 months, Arabic. Not formal lessons, but fun. One might presume that Bella spends her days with books and grammar exercise. On the contrary, her learning process has never been anything but fun, with her mother making a lot of effort to avoid traditional style lessons. The key to success, according to Yulia, is that Bella has no negative association with learning languages. From early childhood, this language journey has always been something joyful. Maybe this is just a crazy idea. It occurs to me that our North American education system should try a little harder to combine fun with learning. In many parts of the world, being bilingual is commonplace and not something unusual. Children successfully learn 2 languages at the same time, starting from birth. Although findings have indicated that young children up to the age of 5 can process up to 5 languages, it might be best to start with 2 languages in most situations. Any young child can become bilingual as long as she receives plenty of exposure and guidance in both languages. A couple of hours experience a week in the second language is just not enough. Adequate time and opportunities for practice are essential. Introducing a second language should happen at an early age, as soon as possible. Early in life, languages learn more quickly and will be spoken with excellent pronunciation. This is because our brain is more open to new sounds and words before adolescence. I was 5 years old when we moved to Canada from Italy. I picked up English almost effortlessly and went on to excel in school. My brothers and sisters were much older, beyond their teen years. They could not attend school, but eventually learned English as well. The process was slower and they continued to have an accent, whereas I am completely fluent. I always find it amusing to attend family gatherings because there is such joyful chaos. Everyone is talking loudly all at once in all directions, and most people will be switching from English to Italian in mid-sentence, evidently because some things are easier to say in their first language. It would be impossible to comprehend these disjointed conversations unless you were familiar with both languages. It's like they are using some complicated code to hide their secrets. Babies' brains work twice as hard as adults, with increased blood flow and metabolic activity. This is what allows them to make more new connections between brain cells and at a faster rate than adults do. The rapid physical growth that we measure by how often they grow out of their shoes is happening in their brains as well. As babies and young children learn, they can form somewhere around 1 million new brain connections per second, according to Harvard's Center on the Developing Child. It's during this time, when everything is new and synapses are rapidly forming, that kids are the most open to learning languages. From the moment they can start hearing parents speak or sing from the womb, babies begin listening to all the different sounds they hear. At birth, the baby brain has an unusual gift. It can tell the difference between all sounds in all languages. This is necessary because the brain does not know which language the infant will be exposed to, and so must be prepared for any possibility. As babies, we can hear all of the 600 consonants and 200 vowels that make up the world's languages. Later in our first year, our brains begin to specialize, focusing more on our native language and the sounds we hear most frequently. For example, Japanese babies up to about 6 months can easily distinguish between R and L sounds. Japanese adults, on the other hand, tend to find this much more difficult. Is it confusing for young children to learn two languages at the same time? Studies consistently show that bilingual children do not lag behind. They don't encounter more academic problems than children who speak only one language. Although bilingual children experience some mixing of languages, they generally separate the two languages at a very early age. In fact, research indicates that bilingual persons have superior cognitive processing compared with monolinguals due to the constant switching from one language to another. It's kind of like becoming ambidextrous. Oh, no, my silly listeners, I am not talking about being bisexual, but you are welcome to try that too if you wish. Ambidexterity is the ability to use both hands with equal skill. Becoming ambidextrous may take up to a few months, even a few years, depending on what skill you are trying to develop. For example, if you want to write perfectly with both hands, then you could learn in a few months. But for that, you have to practice every day. Practice is the key. Children are good candidates for language learning because they have fewer inhibitions. It's much easier to learn a language if you're comfortable making mistakes and sounding foolish, a concern that makes most adults extremely anxious. Although it's a widely held belief that children learn languages faster than adults, there's still a little bit of controversy in this area. Many adults learn second and third languages, so age is no excuse for failing to learn a new language. You can too, if you are motivated and have adequate time to devote to this activity. And learning a third language has been shown in multiple studies to come much easier than learning the second. By the way, the first sentence you should learn in a foreign language is, "My friend is paying the bill." The challenge is to keep your knowledge fresh and stop it falling into those murky, hard-to-reach parts of your memory. The old saying, "use it or lose it," is perfectly accurate. Any new skill that is not practiced will be lost over time. Try to make it a part of your life. It may take a little effort to seek out opportunities for practice, but this little effort will go a long way. Read books or magazines in your new language. Listen to podcasts. Try recipes. Chat online. Find some study buddies or make new friends. It's never too early to start learning a new language, and it's never too late. And remember, even though there are hundreds of languages across the world, a smile speaks them all. And don't forget, te amo con tutto il mio cuore. Well, all good things must come to an end, including this podcast. But in the words of the Terminator, I'll be back. And I hope you will too. If you enjoyed the podcast, please help me to attract more listeners by leaving a positive review. As you may already know, my true purpose and goal is complete world domination. As they say, go big or go home. Where Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, and Napoleon Bonaparte failed, we will succeed. With your help, my followers will grow and grow until we are unstoppable. But even if more listeners do come, you will always be my first and most favorite. Join my next podcast in 7 to 10 days. It would be truly awesome if you could follow Psychology Outside the Box on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, folks, it's all over for today. We're finished. We reached the end. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I will miss you so very much.